label it powers and exponents. Start off easy, review 7 squared. I don't want the answer, I want what is 7 squared equivalent to? What am I actually doing?
7 times 7.
7 times 7, which is?
49.
49. Those should be easy by now. If you know 7 squared and know the pattern, 7 to the negative 2 should also be easy. Does anyone remember what to do when I have a negative exponent? Paige?
It'd be 1 over 49.
Yeah, all I have to do is say, because we're following that pattern, every time it's either multiplying or dividing by 7 if you go backwards, like we did on that chart in class, I would put 1 over 7 squared, which is, we know, 49. If you have something like this in your notes that you can use on the test, that cheat sheet of 1 page of notes, looking at that example is going to right away remind you, oh yeah, this is how I do negative exponents. Easy peasy. 7 to the 0 power.
So it'd be 1.
Anything to the 0 power is 1. Whatever it is, it's 1. Just a rule you have to know. On the quiz, almost everyone either put 0 or 7. It's 1. Always 1 if it's got a 0. You also will need to know exponents. Let's say we have x cubed times x to the 5th. Well, as Caleb told us with 7 squared, x cubed is really just what?
3.
3 x's. X times x times x. What is x to the 5th?
5 x's.
5 x's.
X 8.
Yeah. How many x's do I have if I put all those together?
You just
8.
add up the
Yeah,
two.
I just added up. 3 plus 5 is 8. So x cubed times x to the 5th is x to the 8th. We'll also have some division ones. X to the 5th over x cubed. Again, you can think,
You subtract it. So it'd be x to the
yep, you can either think, okay, I know I just subtract those exponents, or you could write it out and say, oops, I forgot one. The x divided by x would cancel out to 1, x divided by x cancel out to 1, x divided by x cancel out to 1. What's left?
2.
X squared over 1, or just x squared. There will be an extra credit on the test, hint, hint, hint. That is one that would look like this. X cubed over x to the 5th. Well, if I think x divided by x, x divided by x, x divided by x, and what do I have this time?
Negative 2.
I could either do x to the negative 2, or I could say, okay, 1 ends up here, x squared is on the bottom, which is equal to x to the negative 2. That will be extra credit because that's a little bit of a more abstract concept. Give you a minute to get that written down. Any questions over exponents? It's really just memorizing some of the rules and knowing that when you use those variables, just knowing it's how many x's or y's or a's multiplied out. Scientific notation, we're going to make a chart. We have standard form numbers and scientific notation. Just like on the quiz, and if you're doing quiz corrections, hopefully this will help. If I give you the standard form 6,520,000, Devin, can you help me write that in scientific notation? Do you remember what to do when I've got a really big number? I move by decimal right after the first number. It's always times 10 to the something. don't count the number of zeros, I count the number of place values. You'll also have to go backwards. Let's say I give you the scientific notation 3.2 times, let's do 10 to the 6. Destiny, how would I evaluate that? What would I write? No clue? Paige, what do I write?
32 and then 5 zeros.
How did you know 5 zeros?
Because that's how many you move.
I always just put whatever's there, and then I think in my head, okay, here's where the decimal was. How many places did I need to move? 6. So I've got to go one place just to get around the 2. And then I keep going. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I fill in my zeros. And then backtrack and put in my commas. So I end up with 3,200,000. Some of you, I think what Paige did was just in her head, okay, I've got one decimal place to move around that number. That leaves 5 zeros to add. You'll also have, these are really big numbers that we put in scientific notation. You'll also have really small numbers. Decimal, then let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. Followed by a 43. Decimal 6 zeros, followed by a 43. Javier, how would I put that in scientific notation or no clue?
Move the decimal to 7.
Move decimal 7 places?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That makes 4.3. I know my format is always times 10 to the something.
Negative.
Because it was backwards, because we're working with a small number, it is negative. Good job, Javier. Just like the big numbers, you'll have to go backwards for that as well. Let's say we have 4.5 times 10 to the negative 5th. Devin, how do I change that into a number or no idea?
40.00. 4 zeros and then.
Okay, let me check it. Here's where the decimal was. It says negative 5, so I'm going to count back. 5, that should be where my decimal is, so he's right. And again, you can think in your head, I've got one place to jump around that 4. That leaves 4 zeros to add. Questions over scientific notation? If any of these are kind of confusing, get back on iExcel and do the skill that correlates with the one that you're having the most trouble with. I know a lot of you are having a little bit of difficulty with functions. That's the last thing we have to go over. Again, on your test it'll look just like the quiz, it'll look just like you practice on iExcel. There'll be a chart. There'll be an X and an F parentheses X, which just means the function. Does everyone have scientific notation notes done, or anyone need it? No one needs it? For the function, I just need to know kind of the rule to follow. It always goes down for the X, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it'll give me the numbers. And then I have to write the function. Some of you are just putting how much it goes up. You're just saying that's the function. That's not the complete answer. The function is an equation. The function will be in that format fx equals blank x plus blank. That's the format that you'll always give, just like they do on iExcel. How much is that changing each time, Morgan? How much is it going up? from 3 to 5, 3 to 8, and 8 to 13, and 13 to 18. 5. And sometimes they're really big numbers and it's hard to tell what it's going up. Just subtract. 8 minus 3 changed 5. 13 minus 8 changed 5. 18 minus 13 changed 5. This number is the coefficient of x. It's what goes in front of x. That's just the pattern you need to know. So this function would be 5x plus something. I still need to figure out that something.
Would it be minus?
It will be, and Paige is noticing that when I go back and plug in 5 times that x, what is 1 times 5?
5.
What's 1 times 5? 5. So Dylan, how am I going to get from 5 to 3?
You can put a negative 2.
A negative 2. So it's 5x plus a negative 2 or 5x minus 2. Those equations mean the same thing. Some people, it's just easier to think about this format and just plug in whatever the number is. Some people can just tell right away it's going to be a minus 2. Either answer would be okay because they mean the same thing. Let's do one more and then we'll do some board work. Did everyone have that one? We good? All right, let's do one more. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16. Cass, how much is that going up each time?
3.
It's going up 3. In my equation, where does that 3 go? Is it my in front of x number or my ending number? Jeremy?
In front of the x.
It's the coefficient of x. So I put that 3 there, then I plug it in and I say, what's the change after I multiply by 3? Devin, what would I get for that? What do I need to put in this box? Because if I take 3 times these x's, it doesn't get me this number. I have to add something to get there. So if I think if the x is 1, 3 times x is 3 plus 4 would get me to 7. You can always double check to make sure. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 4 is 10. Do simple, easy examples like this in your notes, because then if you have a big, more challenging one on the test, this is very clear. I need these to just follow a pattern. When you get with the big numbers, it gets you confused and you get thrown off easily. So have some good examples in your cheat sheet of notes. That's all that's going to be on there. That's all that's going to be on there. So